Good morning. It's just me again. In the first video, I told you that I had a carcinoid tumor, which a carcinoid tumor is a cancerous tumor. And the tumor was the same size as my appendix when it wasn't inflamed. Now, it got inflamed and it grew a third bigger than my appendix because I didn't do what the doctor said. And I had to sit home for 3 weeks hurting and all this due to all the inflammation. Well, I'd sit home trying to take it easy. And those of you know me know that I'm a very active person. I've got to be out doing something. And so I sit here as much as I could, and I did go out and straighten the back and front end of my truck up where people had hit it and stuff like that, but wasn't nothing strenuous or anything like that. And the doctor, they kept tabs on it to make sure, that the inflammation was going away like it was supposed to with the medication and stuff. Well, one Friday night, I remember my mother-in-law called and wanted me to come down and jumpstart her car. She was going to let my daughter use it. Now, I always refer to Margaret as my mother-in-law because no matter what, she will always be a part of my life. I know me and my wife were not together, and things went right bad there, but that's part of it. But Margaret will always be my mother-in-law no matter what. I love the lady. We've got a special bond, and we always will have. But anyway, Friday night, I called Levi. He uses my truck because he's got 3 boys to take to school and stuff like that. And it's hard for him, to do this. So we're partners. So I let him use my truck. It's a 4-door, and he can haul everybody comfortably. And it's just me and my son, and I've got this other truck out here that me and him use. But anyway, I called Levi and told him that, what was going on. Asked him, if he'd come by, swing by, pick me up. Let's go down and jump his car off so my daughter could use it. He's sure. So I get up. I wait about 10 minutes. I get up. I go to the bathroom. I remember coming out of the bathroom, and that's all I remember. I woke up in the back of an ambulance. And I remember during that time, only 2 things I remember is Levi. Only thing I could hear him saying is, "You got this, John. You got this." And, and then they got me outside and got me on the gurney. Well, somebody hollered, "Man, he's heavy," And that's only 2 things I remember until I'm on my way to the hospital. When I come to, I'm in the back of an ambulance going to the hospital. Well, apparently, I was having a stroke. And some medicine that they gave me stopped the stroke. But, and, it was good to know, that everybody was there for me and all this. But they tell me, it's due to stress and all this stuff, which, yes, I do have a lot of stress on me. I really, really do. But I come back home. After I got home, doctor told me, you're supposed to take it easy and all this. And they took an x-ray of the tumor. Well, Well, I was at Franklin County Hospital because the doctors wanted to see it, and they snapped an X-ray of it, and a doctor come back and he told me, the tumor is the same size as your appendix, which that is what the surgeon was waiting on, so they could go ahead and take it out. They could take my appendix out, and then the tumor being the same size would come out right with it. Well, what they were anticipating on doing was they was going to clamp it, and sorry, I forgot to turn the TV down. They were going to clamp it in two spots and cut right in the middle of it and use suction to keep any of the cancer and stuff from coming out of the tumor and infecting my body. And so the doctor down there, he took the X-ray of it. Well, he sent it to my doctor, my family doctor. Well, my family doctor got it, and she sent it to the surgeon. Well, they called me a week later and told me, we need you up here Wednesday. We've got a picture of the tumor, and the tumor is good, the right size, and we can get it out now. I said, okay, I'll be there. So the next Monday I woke up, I was sick. I had a cold. Could not shake the cold, and I'm all upset because, I know with a cold and stuff like that, they can't do the surgery. Well, Tuesday came, and I was still sick. Taking medicine, taking everything I could to get rid of it. Well, Wednesday, they wanted me up there at 10 o'clock. Well, I called my doctor and told her, look, I'm going to be a little late. Never gave her no reason why or anything, but I was trying to get some more, I was trying to get my sinuses to drain more. And she told me as long as I was there by 2 o'clock. So 1:30, I went and got the truck, and I headed up there. I'm all upset because my sinuses are still draining, and I can't get my surgery. I know I'm not going to be able to get my surgery and all this, and I'm just, thinking, man, I got to hurt more. It's never going to stop, and that's just part of life. So I drive up there, and I walk in, and Dr. Gruber's like, Mr. Vance, you sound like you got a cold. I said, it's just sinuses. So they give me like a mini physical, checking my blood pressure, checking everything else. Everything was normal as far as my pressures and stuff like that. Everything was perfect. So anyway, they send me in, they do x-ray. And the technician takes me back to the room, and I'm sitting there. By this time, the surgeon's in the room, and we're all talking, and he's explaining to me the procedure about the surgery. They're going to do a little 2-inch incision, and once they cut the appendix loose and cut the tumor loose, they just going to pull it out that little incision and staple me back up. Well, the technician comes in with the x-ray, and he's got this funky look on his face. Well, he hands it to my doctor, and she looks at it, and she looks up at me and looks back down at the x-ray and looks up at me. Well, she hands it to the surgeon, and the surgeon looks at it, and he's just in awe, and he's talking to me about it, and he'd been talking to me about it and all this, and he looked at me and he said, Mr. Vance, he said, I know you've been anticipating this surgery, blah, 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 but I can't do the surgery. Well, what do you mean, Doc? You can't do the surgery? He said, I can't do the surgery. He goes over to the little lighted board and puts the x-rays up on the board. And he shows me, he said, this is your appendix and this is the tumor. This was taken at Franklin County. He said the tumor's just right at the same size as the appendix. And then he showed me the other picture. He said, this is your appendix. He said, this is the tumor. The tumor was about as big around as my thumb. Everything had left the tumor. Nothing was there. All it was an empty sac. Nothing as far as infection, cancer, nothing. It was all gone. I couldn't believe it. He said, this is why we can't do the surgery. There's no need. Your appendix is good. Everything's good. He said, there's no need to take a good body part out if we don't have to. He said, Mr. Vance, he said, I'm a surgeon, but he said, you know the true surgeon. I said, yes, I do. Now, I didn't do nothing except for what the doctor ordered. You know, lots of rest and stuff like that. Take my medicine like I'm supposed to and all this. I didn't do nothing. God done this, not me. God done all this. Now, they're going to go in later and take the sac out. But right now, I don't have to have the surgery. I don't hurt anymore. I got to go to work Thursday instead of going to the hospital. I got to go and help finish up a retainer wall we were working on. I mean, it's just so great to know that no matter how useless I am, that God still loves me. And I am going to say this. I've got, during this whole time of me being sick, I had one church member out of my church that kept in contact with me to see how I was doing and to see if I was all right. I had 4 family members in my church. I mean, 4 family members in my family that checked on me regularly. And one being my brother, one being my dad, and one being Bill Parton, which he's a man I love dearly. I mean, you know, he's Dolly Parton's uncle. And the other one I'm not going to mention, but now my family, I've reached out to a lot of my family. Oh, I take that back. There was 5. My Aunt Joy, she is a sweetheart, and you know, I just really got to know her here lately. And but within the last 2 or 3 years. But anyway, my family, you know, like I said before, I'm just a misfit in my family. I always have been. That's why the name on my YouTube name is A Fortunate Misfit. My family only wanted something to do with me if I could help them, you know. But you know, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's the way it is with a lot of families, which breaks my heart. But it doesn't mean I don't love my family members any less and anything like that, you know, because I always love my family. My family is everything to me. But the thing of it is not me trying to get sympathy or me doing anything great, because I didn't do anything great. All this is just giving God the glory for the miracle that He done on me. That's all it was. He performed that miracle. I didn't. He could have popped that tumor. He could have taken me on home. You know, there's lots of things that could have happened that didn't happen. Now, you know, it's just sad to know that when you're on top of the mountain, everybody wants to be there with you. But when you're down and out, everybody stays as far away from you as they can. You know, and I've got friends here on Facebook. Now, I did have some friends that messaged me and asked me and, you know, called me and talked to me and stuff like that about how I was doing. But, you know, it's not like having your family to call you and ask you questions and stuff like that. But, you know, God knows the reasons. God's the only one that knows the reasons. You know, they may have had something come up during this time. I don't know. But, you know, it's like I try to keep in contact with my family. I try to keep in contact with my friends. And, you know, because that's what life's about. Life wouldn't be no fun if we had to walk through this alone. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is. God puts people in your life for a reason. Now, my partner Levi, yeah, he's been concerned. Him and his family, you know, they're happy for me that this happened, because when I come out of that doctor's office that day, I was crying. I was so happy I was crying. And every time I try to tell somebody, I get so choked up I couldn't. But like I said, I done nothing. God done all this. This was God's work. Now, for those of you that, you know, have problems and stuff like that, give it to God. Because if God can do this for me, it's untelling what He can do for you. Because like I say, I'm a useless person. I'm useless to everybody. So, you know, if you're more important to me, then it's untelling what God can do for you. And now, you all take this and think about it, you know, because God's good. There's nothing greater than God. And, you know, I love you, and I hope y'all have a blessed day. God bless you.